My name is Julian Finn. This is Oliver Moldenhauer. Today representing the seed producing industry coming directly from the Hong Kong Ministerial Conference of the WTO. And we're going to explain, we're going to explain what Terminator genes and GURT, biological restrictions management is. Exactly. Oliver, please.
Okay. First of all, I think someone has to say this. There's some irony in my part of the talk, so don't jump to my...
Be aware.
Okay, so what's the problem? Why do we talk about biological restriction management? Here you see pictures of actually kind of innocent-looking farmers, but they're obviously evil pirates, because what do? They copy our seeds. That's just like, you know, the pirates in the digital domain that copy CDs and movies and so on. We have actual biological pirates. Some even protest for their so-called right to use their own harvest to replant on their acres. But this is a problem because the people from the seed industry invented the potato, the rice plant, the wheat, the corn, and all the other basic, we patented it.
Just as the Microsoft invented the if-then-else statement, I suppose.
And so many farmers, nowadays many farmers use their own harvests to make seeds. Just a question, what do you think, how many farmers actually don't buy the seed but use the stuff grown on their own fields? Any ideas, say for here in Germany? It depends on the countries. Yeah, say in Germany and in developing countries. 20%? 20% for Germany? Another guess for Germany? 70-80% for Germany? 80, huh? 20? Okay, and for developing countries? Many guesses. So what we actually have on this is quite bad. You know, there's 50% of the farmers in Germany grow their own seeds. You know, this is very detrimental to economy, and even 90% in developing countries. So that can't be going on like this. So we have to do something against it. This is a very ancient technology. This is not modern. And it's breeding independence. And actually, it limits the profit of the seed industry, which is supposed to be a major employer and revenue-generating thing.
They're all communists.
Another thing, here you can see the actual balance of payments in terms of royalties and license fees between the developing countries and the developed countries. Actually, the trend is quite nice. You know, you realize back in '93 we had $1.5 billion net payment. Now we are up to more than $9 billion. But this is still not enough. You know, this is even less than official development aid. This is only 20% of the official development aid, if you make a comparison. So we have to do something about it. So what's the solution? One possibility is to go for the law. For instance, inside the WTO, the World Trade Organization, we have a so-called TRIPS treaty on intellectual property rights. This is a good step forward. But there's still space for farmer privilege. Under the TRIPS treaty, country is not obliged to forbid their farmers to use their own seeds. So that's a problem. We can't sell enough of them. Then there are national laws. We have a pretty good one in Germany, actually.
That was changing in the moment. The seed industry lost against the community of
Mike?
Sorry.
There's a new thing in the moment. The seed industry lost a case against this law. It is not enforcement in the moment, not to enforce in the moment, really. And the industry makes a new approach and go to the supplier for this red stuff, what you put on the seed, and when you put it in the ground, it's protect the seeds and makes it in this way.
Oh, that's pretty new. When did that happen?
I think 1 or 2 months ago.
Okay,
That's why they need better
That's-
enforcement.
bad news. So in German, for instance, what you have to refer to, there are so-called Nachbaugebühren, meaning that if you replant the stuff, you have to pay money to the actual owners of the seeds, which are of course not the farmers, but the seed industry. But I think the case you told probably refers not to the Nachbaugebühren as such, but to the enforcement rules and to the data protection things around it, privacy rules. Anyway, but that's pretty cool. The procedure was pretty cool, and there was a good enforcement, and the seed industry even got a prize for that.
Yeah, you got the Big Brother Award. The Big Brother Award for the Saatgut Treuhandsverwaltungs GmbH in Bonn, who got the prize because they spied on farmers who didn't pay their license fees. So, yeah, applause.
So a law has its limitations. So what's the solution? That's always if there's a problem in society, use technology to fix it. So the solution here is biological restrictions management or biological rights management.
Now look how that's going to work.
No further enforcement is necessary. Let's just learn from the music industry, which uses digital rights management. Actually, I coined the phrase because I thought for this audience, if I say digital rights management, people know what's it about. The more usual term is genetic use restrictions technology, gurt, or Terminator technology. And what is it? If you genetically modify a plant with Terminator genes, then this allows the production of seeds that grow normally, but the seeds produced out of those seeds. Plants grow and then there's some grain on, and they're actually dead. You can't replant those seeds. That's the whole point. Farmers cannot regrow from their own harvest. And this is a very nice picture of the actual Terminator. So we can always see where this leads to.
To presidency?
So, but this is not very easy because the problem is the seed industry still needs plants and seeds that can grow and produce viable seeds. So it's kind of difficult. It's actually a pretty cool hack how you do this technologically. So I want to go a little bit onto the technical details of this because this is a technical conference. So first thing, to go to the basics. If you have what we know nowadays about the genome is that you have gene constructs. That's actually the basic building blocks of genetical engineering. And this consists out of first a promoter. That's something that decides when this gene is actually activated. Then you have the gene coding property, the actual code that makes some protein, and you have the termination sequence. And you take this, if you do genetic engineering, you take this from different life forms. For instance, the promoter might be from the tobacco mosaic virus, or you can have the actual gene might be from a soil bacteria that's resistant to some herbicides. And then the termination sequence is frequently taken from peas. So to make it more easily understandable, so for instance, you have what's now? Here. You have the promoter is basically like a function name. That's what calls the actual code. Then you have the actual code, and the terminator is basically the brackets if you have C code.
Yeah.
So, but how do we do this actually with the Terminator technology? This is 3 steps. You have to introduce 3 genes, so the whole thing is working. First thing is you introduce the actual suicide sentence. May I take the? You have the actual suicide thingy. The toxin up there, once this gene is activated, produces a toxin that kills the cell. LEA is not load effective address from assembler. It is some promoter that's activated in the late embryonic stage, say just a few days before the harvest occurs. And if you introduce just this without those spacer in the middle, just this into the plant, every plant would commit suicide, and the seed industry wouldn't be well off because it couldn't produce any seeds themselves. So what's introduced is the spacer, the red thing that actually blocks the whole action. That's the first part. Second part, you have some gene that produces molecular scissors. These scissors cut out the gene, the spacer, out of the gene at top and makes it actually active. And this is, and also so it can work, we have viable plants to begin with. We have a gene that produces repressor particles, repressor molecules that block the molecular scissors. And this is activated all the time. So that's a standard thing how the gene is working if you're at the seed-producing company. We have this repressor always produced. This represses the molecular scissors, so the spacer doesn't get cut. Further? So what you do, is this the next one? Or is that
Yeah, that was the next one, sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Ah, yeah, okay. Technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
so what you do, if you put some other chemical into the system, here tetracycline, for instance, that removes the repressor, then the molecular gene becomes active. Can you do the next slide, please? And the molecular scissors cut out the spacer thing and make it active. So we have the toxic gene in late embryonic stage. And this produces lots of toxins that kill the cell.
Well, I now have some very bad pseudocode to illustrate what we're actually doing. First, we have a spacer, which is a kind of flag set to 1. Then we assert a lot of things, and I don't exactly, well, we assert that there's no mutation in the plant. We assert that there's enough repressing toxin, and we assert that everything else is correct. Otherwise, the program terminates, and well, the whole thing doesn't work. Well, as long as the spacer is still there, you wait for the reaction. If the reaction happens, there's ribonuclease produced. The spacer is set. The spacer flag is set to 0, and after that, the sterilizing toxin is produced. As long as, of course, there's no mutation and enough toxins put on the plants and so on. So, yes.
So, is this quite understandable, what's going on there? Oh, everyone nodding. I still have a how-to.
Well,
so,
I don't understand how that can assure anything.
So, yeah, how it works.
It's very unsafe.
How that works is, first, you have your genetically improved variety, or improved, with the Terminator gene. You can grow this. And then, after the harvest with this special Terminator technology, you put tetracycline over the seeds. So this this means that they now genetically modify themselves. You put it over the seeds, and the seeds genetically modify themselves, make some kind of gene therapy on themselves that will cause their offspring to die. This is a very important part. If you forget this, the farmers will still be able to use the seeds. You don't make sure you actually put enough tetracycline on it. And then the peasants can grow the whole stuff normally, and just before the harvest, a few days before, the seedling commits suicide. Actually, most of the corn is still alive, but just a very tiny seedling part commits suicide. And now we come to the rhetoric how-to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, talking about it very positively, and